sells it. Wrong. I'm Charlie. Welcome to Moving Home with Charlie, and thank you for coming.
Charlie Landing grew up in Sussex, is the founder of Best Agent and presenter of Moving Home with Charlie.
If you want to find one of these guys, look out for those compassionate professionals. All estate agents are not the same.
So Charlie, what would be your advice for people interested in buying new builds right now?
Don't overpay. Do buy, but don't overpay. That's why I say disregard the guff. Read into the numbers and look, and it's buried. The bad news is buried in the small print, okay?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Property Press Awards.
They may or may not be telling the truth, but you should form your own view. Get out and view, get out and view, get out and view. You cannot be in a position to make offers and have no offers accepted if you're not viewing. So be out there viewing. Pay attention to the back of the class if you've not been watching my videos. I did one just a couple of days ago. Disregard the guff, guys. Hi, everybody. I was desperately trying to find this tweet. I haven't been able to find it to use for this live stream. Now, this morning, the Office for National Statistics released the latest house price data, which I'll go into in a minute. And above all else, the reason that I decided to do this live stream, which I haven't got time to do because I'm late to get to the airport, was because even in the face of what, to me, an objective, reasonably analytical, reasonably numerate person is overwhelming evidence of falling house prices, not crashing house prices, but falling house prices, and overwhelming evidence that they will continue to fall, and yet more surprisingly bad inflation figures, and surprisingly interest rates are higher than everyone thought they were going to be, which is not a surprise to me for some time. Because honestly, if you were to ask me, what is the difference between me and other people who think it's all going to get better and the interest rates are going to go up and inflation is going to come down, is that I'm more aware of my cognitive bias. It exists. I have it. I have confirmation bias. I have cognitive bias. I have Dunning-Kruger effect. All of those things. I'm just conscious that they exist. And so I'm consciously battling them. And given how much of my reputation is depending on what I've been saying since nearly this time last year, no one is keener than I am to know whether or not, maybe I'm wrong and maybe house prices aren't going to fall. And the guff machine in the last month or two has latched on to the Halifax house price index, saying that house prices have actually gone up slightly in the last few months, so much that there is a genuine sentiment among people who are just innocent observers of the industry and the industry guff and media, that actually people are starting to think, oh God, maybe house prices have bottomed out. Maybe they're not going to keep falling. Maybe they're not going to fall, as Charlie says. And so I saw two things this morning. One is from Mortgage Mike on Twitter, who yesterday saw Russell Quirk's tweet that wages have gone up 6.6% and unemployment is stable. And has just believed Russell Quirk's tweet at face value and gone, hey, Charlie, housing stink, how can you guys be so negative? Didn't you see Russell's information yesterday? And I don't know Mortgage Mike. I know he's a nice guy, but I can only conclude that he is I don't want to be rude. He's a nice guy, works hard, successful mortgage broker, right? But his approach and his interpretation and how easily he takes in the positive message and pushes back against the negative message, to me, is an example of someone who's not aware of their own bias. And so this video, Mike, this is me talking to you. We haven't met, we've never spoken, we've only ever communicated by Twitter. And so this is me persuading. I'm going to see if in this video I can persuade Mike to open his mind and consider the information we're about to go through now, none of which is from the media, and see whether or not I can make him start to doubt Russell Quirk's gargantuan guffs. Right. Russell is clearly not great with numbers. Russell is. He says a lot of things that are very inflammatory. That's his deal, right? He's promoting himself. He's got a talk show, a TV and talk show, and everything else. And so he is openly admitting to the fact that he loves to stoke arguments and take the piss and that kind of stuff. And he has a lot of property clients in his PR company, and therefore I can see why Russell has vested interests in making sure that it's always talking it up. Sorry, I can't watch the comments, otherwise I can't think straight. So let's get into it. Let's get into 5 things. And by the way, this is an early 5 Fact Friday as well, because I'm going to be traveling non-stop for the next 6 days, and I don't know whether I'm going to be able to get to a computer or a camera. So this is an early 5 Fact Friday as well. Okay, and I want to go through 5 things. I've just got to find a way to stop innocent people like Mortgage Mike believing Russell Quirk's utter bollocks. I like Russell. Russell is he's interesting. He is fun. He is not afraid to say what he thinks. And although I disagree with not everything, I disagree with most of what he says, but not all of it. And Russell is certainly not stupid, but he's definitely not great with numbers, which actually might explain an awful lot about what's happened in his past. Those of you who know what I'm talking about know what I'm talking about. But let's just go. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to get into this. And I'm also just want to start with one more thing. Sorry, this is an unrehearsed, unprepared live stream, but I want to start with this as well. In order for people to keep on paying increasing house prices, one thing above all else must happen. And that is that people must be earning increasing sums of money. People must have increasing amounts of available money to spend, increasing disposable income. Okay, that without that happening nationally, house prices simply cannot continue rising. So I put it to you, what do you think is happening to people's disposable income at the moment, nationally? I'm not talking about your mate or the person you know or one company that's given inflation-busting pay rises. As a country, what's happening to our disposable income? Is it going up or is it going down? And is that likely to change anytime soon? And if, as with any moderately intelligent, sane human being who looks at the numbers, you reach the same conclusion as me, which is that disposable income is falling. Okay, people have got less and less and less and less money, right? If you see that, then ask yourselves this: how is it possible that lenders are going to lend people money to pay increased prices when people's available money and disposable income is falling and will be falling for the foreseeable future, right? How is that possible? And the conclusion that you will reach if you simply just look at the numbers dispassionately is, oh, okay, yeah, that's a good point. If everyone on average is earning or keeping less of their income because of inflation and the cost of living, it's not possible for house prices to keep going up, is it? Because even if lenders were to start lending more, like 100% crazy mortgages and 35 years plus and that kind of stuff, you've still got to be able to afford the repayments. And if your disposable income is less, you won't be able to. And when people's disposable income is less, mortgage lenders won't lend you as easily. It's mathematical gravity. That's what I'm going to call it, right? It's like someone saying, no, gravity. No. Sorry, Russell Quirk says gravity doesn't exist. So, and I believe him. You know, he's a clever guy. He's got his own telly show, right? And if Russell says gravity is not real, then I believe him. I am coining this phrase, literally in this video, that is mathematical gravity is what's going to happen to house prices. Okay, until the rocket boosting effect of wage growth, real wage growth, after inflation, after cost of living, after everything else, until that returns, house prices cannot nationally, on average, rise. And even when it does return, it will need to be quite strong for some time before you start to see it reflected in increasing house prices. Okay. Number one, Wait, is there anything I need to see in the comments? Or yeah, no, right. So point number one, let me share the screen. Let me share the screen. Let me share the screen. I'm going to whistle through these 5 quite quickly and then wrap it up. I want to try and get this in under 20 minutes. Okay. So point number one, I'm going to go back to the RICS survey, right? The Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors data that was out. I know it's Friday last week, but I still just want to discuss it. And I'm not going to spend long on this, but the national price expectation, and by the way, it's really important to think that the thing to understand about the RICS survey, the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors monthly housing market survey, is that for all its weaknesses and accuracies, it is the most timely, it is the closest to the coalface, and it is historically the most accurate leading indicator of house prices. What do we have here? On the left, we've got national price expectations 3 months and 12 months out from now from the people who are at the coalface. And both of them are negative. Less negative than last month, but still negative, which means they're still expecting it to fall. What do we have on the right-hand side of the screen? Regional breakdown in price expectations. Every single region negative, varying degrees, right? The Northwest is the least negative, and Northern Ireland is the second least negative. East Anglia is the most negative, West Midlands is the most negative, the Southeast is the third most negative. But every single region is expected to see house prices falling in the next 3 months and are falling in the current month, right? So that's point number 1 of 5, okay? That's not media. That's not mainstream media manipulation or guff. That's no agenda. That is the people who work in the industry who have the most accurate housing market forecasting prices to come down. Okay, number 2. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this morning, the Land Registry released their data through the Office of National Statistics. And this is on the Gov website. All of these are linked to below. And let's just run through the headline stats. And remember this, most important thing to remember about this particular index is that it has the biggest lag of all, but it has the largest sample size of all and includes all transactions, including cash-only transactions, which the mortgage ones, Halifax and Nationwide, do not include, okay? But it is a bigger time lag. It's at least a 5-month time lag, meaning that best case, this is reporting on transactions that were in September 2022 before the mini budget happened. Okay, guys. So you also need to remember that annual year-on-year price differences are meaningless if there's a change in direction. So the fact that that back in September last year, I know it says February, right? I know it's saying headline statistics for February 2023, but that is the time delay involved in when these deals were agreed. All right. These are deals agreed in September last year. And the monthly price change for a property in the UK then was a 1% drop. Now, 1%, well, that's not much, is it, Charlie? I saw an agent that I know and respect as a great agent who he put on Twitter, 1%, well, that's not a crash, is it? The title of this video and the thumbnail is about house prices falling like they did in 2008. So in 2008, which was, in other people's words, not mine, a crash, the average monthly price falls in 2008 were 1.3%. So whilst deals that were being agreed in September last year that were finally reported by the Land Registry for February this year were falling at 1% a month, that's only 0.3% away from the rate of falls in the last house price crash. So what that is telling us that in September last year, when I was banging the drum about house prices and going, guys, they're going to fall, they're actually falling, they're already falling the house price. In September last year, deals were being agreed at prices that represented price falls of 1% a month, which is only 0.3% a month off the 2008 house price crash fall rate. So interest rates had not yet shot up. They'd increased a little bit, but not shot up. And the September mini budget hadn't happened when the transactions that the Land Registry is reporting today were happening. Now, I know that it's a bit of a to get your head around all these timings, right? Okay, the RICS is right up at the coalface, but Land Registry's got 5 months behind, and month on month is 1%, but yearly it was saying up 5.5. Just disregard annual house price changes when annually is positive but monthly is negative, because what that's saying is even though the house prices were 5.5% higher in February this year than they were February last year, they're still falling monthly. So rising year-on-year prices does not mean that prices aren't falling, and a lot of people get their heads mixed up with that, right? Monthly they were falling. Okay, so that's the Land Registry that was released this morning at 9:30, so just 4 hours ago. So hot off the press. Okay, RICS, which is the most reliable indicator of house prices, says they're falling, and the government Land Registry figures say that they were falling 1% month on month. Officially, that's their February data. This is for deals agreed in September, or actually August last year. So what this is saying is that prices were falling steeply at the coalface in August and September last year. Now, next up, unemployment. Why is this relevant, right? Because what does it mean for the country's house buying budget if unemployment is rising? Now, Russell Quirk said unemployment was stable. Okay, whatever that means, it still went up, right? Unemployment still went up in February. It went up from 3.7% to 3.8%, but it's not going down, and it's not saying the same, it's going up. And more importantly, the number of job vacancies, I can't find it, fell by 47,000. Okay. It is here somewhere on this page. I thought it was. There's another page, right? Job vacancies fell 47,000. Less jobs being offered. Unemployment rose slightly, and wage growth was 6.6%. Sorry, I got the wrong page up here, right? It's got some of the data, but wage growth was 6.6%. Wow, that sounds good. No, because inflation, as we found out this morning, is still over 10%. Food inflation is nearly 20%. And so real wage growth was negative, or in other words, in real terms, wages are shrinking. And those figures show that wages are shrinking by 3.8% on average. It's worse for the public sector, slightly less bad for the private sector. Okay. What happens when wages shrink? There's less money to fight the mathematical gravity happening, okay, with house prices. So factor in that with the time lag of that effect on what it means. If wages are falling at between 3 and 4% a month, a year right now, and rents are going up at 4% a month. By the way, that's another stat that I haven't had time to put in, but it was just released today. Emma Files put it on Twitter, right? Yearly rents are rising. This is ONS figures at 4%. Whilst real wages are falling, what's that doing to disposable income? It's eviscerating it. So this is relevant because it is a leading indicator of people's budget to buy houses. Okay, unemployment is rising, job vacancies are falling, and more importantly, real wages are falling. All three of those things have a future negative effect on house prices. Next up, inflation. Right, March 2023. And of course, everyone was expecting, and the economists, you see, one of the things I've learned about economists is that they actually suffer from confirmation bias almost as badly as anyone I've ever met, almost worse, in fact, right? And the bottom line here is that here we are in April, Q2 2023, and CPI, Consumer Price Index inflation, is still above 10%. Right? Rishi Sunak wants to get inflation in half by the end of the year. There's no doubt that it will reduce, but when inflation reduces, prices are still going up, by the way, right? Unless inflation's negative, but then we have a whole different problem. Okay. But this is bearing out what Housing Stig and I for a while, which is, inflation is going to remain stubbornly high for a lot longer than commentators, economists, and the markets want. In exactly the same way that the markets have been pricing in the bank base rate not to go up, and they keep having to revise it up. The market keeps being wrong. Now, inflation has gone up. Why is that a negative effect on house prices? Because it means that the likelihood of the Bank of England's base rate rising has now increased. And now the markets are forecasting the bank base rate to go to 5%. Now, that figure, 5%, 6 months ago, when Alex mentioned it, was considered heresy. No. They're never going to get to 5%. No. 3.5% maybe, worst case. But 5%, no. If they get to 5%, we're fucked. That's what a lot of people were saying. Well, welcome to 5% rates very soon, guys. Base rates. And the Sonia swap rates have started going back up again as well. So this is also telling you what's going to happen to people's incomes, because inflation, what does inflation do to people's disposable income? Eats it up. So this is telling you that interest rates are going to go higher. What does that do to people's budget for buying houses? It eats it up. It reduces the budget for buying houses. Inflation reduces it. Rising interest rates reduce it. These are very strong negative effects. They're putting weight on the mathematical gravity of house prices. Not 5 months ago in September when the Land Registry reporting house prices, but for the future. For the future, right? Land Registry confirms house prices are falling at 1% a month, which is only 0.3% off the 2008 house price fall rate. And inflation will not get below 10% yet. And so the Bank of England is going to have to rise. And some people think it's going to have to get to 5.5% or 6% before they can get inflation below 5%, which is what their target is, right? 5% inflation, by the way, is still not good. And that's the government's target. Now, I've got one more thing that I want to share with you guys, which I think is really, really important to help people understand what's happening with house prices and why you should disregard some of the guff about house prices. Let me just go back to this figure here. So this is the average price of a property in the whole of the UK. So that's England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. But yet the average asking price on Rightmove is something like 400,000. And the 20CI is 400. And this is why you need to just, especially in this changing market, which is becoming a buyer's market, you need to totally ignore asking prices. You need to ignore them nationally, and you need to ignore them locally, and you need to ignore them on individual properties that you're looking at, because an asking price is just an opening of a conversation about the price. Some asking prices by some agents will be good. The intelligent, smart agents are pricing below the market, getting bids over and getting stuff sold, right? But mostly asking prices are crazy. How do I know? So 287 is the actual official average house price from the government. Now, I'm now going to use best agent data. And I want you to notice two things here. This is data for England. So the average asking price, look at it, £430,000 is the average asking price in England. The median price, and by the way, this is just for unsold stock, is £320,000. So first of all, average asking prices are less than useless. They are as useful as a pair of raspberries or a pair of, I'm not going to go there. They are as useful as a chocolate teapot. Okay. Median price is much closer to the UK's official average property price. Now that's the median price. Just double check I'm showing the right thing here. Yes. That's the median price for unsold properties. Now look at the median price of properties that are marked as sold. £280,000. Ladies and gentlemen, the best agent median asking price of properties marked as sold is very close to the Land Registry's average price of a property. All right. This is exactly why I'm working on this data with Best Agent, because the median price of properties marked as sold is actually the closest useful indicator in terms of asking prices today as to what actual prices are doing. All right. I've got lettings here as well. And we've also got Wales. So I can go to Wales. All of this is linked below. You can go look for yourself, right? And in Wales, it's the same thing. Different numbers, right? But so for properties for sale in Wales, the green one on the top line here is the average price of unsold property and the median asking price of unsold property. But the median price of properties marked as sold is £25,000 less. So what I'm saying to you is this: the median asking price of properties marked as sold is the nearest available metric to what actual property transaction prices are doing. It's still not accurate. It's still general for the whole country, etc. But it is, of all of the available prices available today, the median asking price of properties marked as sold is the closest. And therefore, I put it to you that you should disregard asking prices of unsold property when they're being used as averages, whether it's national or anything else. This is why I think that the Rightmove asking price index is of absolutely no use to anyone whatsoever. It just doesn't tell us anything. Okay, guys, so those are the 5 things. So let me now come back to you and ask you. RICS is telling us that house prices are going to fall, and it's that they are historically the most reliable leading price indicator of houses. The land registry is showing us that prices were falling at 1% a month for deals that were being agreed before the mini budget. So what do you think is going to happen next? Do you think that deals agreed after the mini budget are going to be higher or lower, and falling at the same rate, or falling faster than they were before the mini budget? I mean, I haven't used a single media article here, right? Everything I've showed you is market data, government data, ONS data, RICS data, best agent data. I'm trying to just disarm any of the arguments of, oh, it's just media scaremongering. How is anything I'm saying today scary? Because all I'm trying to do is to show you the facts that were released by the government today and yesterday and within the last few days, and to ask you what they think they mean for the country's housing affordability, and therefore what's that going to do to house prices. I do feel like I am banging my head against a brick wall, not with people who haven't watched recently and people outside the industry, but people in the industry who still insist on going, no, it's going to be fine. House prices, I mean, people ask if I'm standing by. I mean, just yesterday, someone on Twitter said to me, Charlie, you said they're going to fall 35%. Own it. As if I hadn't, as if I'm not owning it, and as if I ever stopped owning it. I stand by it. If anything, not only am I more confident that the peak to trough nominal house price falls will be 35%, it could be even more. Because interest rates have gone as high as I was expecting them to, and as Alex was expecting them to, and are looking to go higher, when everyone else said, no, they're not going to do that. Inflation hasn't started coming down in a meaningful quantity yet, even though everyone else said it was going to. So all of the expectations that I have had, and that Alex also had, and that independently and then together we've discussed and agreed on, by disregarding any media narratives or doomsayer guff, but just what's actually happening, it is happening almost exactly as we expected. It feels like house prices are coming down slower than they are because of the time delay in reporting and because people are going on asking prices. And I cannot say it enough, just ignore asking prices. Asking prices are guff, okay? They don't have any bearing on whether a property will sell or not, and if it does, what price it will sell for. With the great agents accepted, agents who know how to intelligently get their sensible client to seller to actually agree to go with the agent and say, right, price it below, and we'll get above asking price. So not only are house prices falling, they're falling faster than anyone can see at the moment. They have already fallen faster than anyone can see. We just won't get the confirmation of that for some time. They're going to continue falling, and they're going to speed up falling, because whatever happens in the future with the economy and everything else, what's happening today is set in stone, and there's a time lag that just takes a while, right? And interest rates take 8 months, Alex thinks. I say 9 months before you see the effect of interest rate changes, and we have not yet had long enough for that to happen. We're going to be another 4 months until we start to see the effects of the mini budget and subsequent interest rate hikes on house prices. So this is frustratingly slow motion for first-time buyers who are waiting for prices to crash. And I keep getting people like Mortgage Mike saying, well, you said they were going to crash and they haven't. No, I didn't say that they would have crashed by now, Mike. I never said that. I said they're going to start dropping, and they're going to start dropping. Initially, I said it'll take 18 to 24 months. I'll still be very curious to see where they are 18 to 24 months from when I said it last August. I now think it's going to take slightly longer, so 2 to 3 years. So to all of the people who keep saying, oh, Charlie, you said house prices have crashed by now, mate, and they haven't, have they? They haven't. No, I never said they'd crash by now. I never said they would. I said they would start falling faster this year, and they have. We just haven't seen it yet. The RIC stuff confirms it. The economy stuff's going to accelerate it. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And if you are an open-minded mathematician and you're in any doubt of that, I would love to hear why. Okay? I don't have any more time in my life to hear people's wild guesses of optimism and hope about why house prices aren't going to fall. Well, inflation is going to be 3% by the end of the year. I will be gobsmacked if inflation is at 3% by the end of this year. Gobsmacked. Food inflation in this morning's government figures was 19% higher than this time last year. It's slow. It takes a long time. And interest, they should have put interest rates up actually probably faster than they have. And the only way out of inflation is interest rates cranked up until we're in a recession, whether the government likes it or not. Because remember, the government doesn't set interest rates. The Bank of England does. Okay, guys. That turned into a bit of a rant, didn't it? Do we have any fun questions? Does anyone have any questions on anything that I've said today? All right. This might be my last video for about a week or so. So is there anyone who wants to tell me that they think why I might be wrong? And guys, share this video. Share this video with the Guff Masters and invite them to respond with, again, like I've done. So I have used publicly available official information and data. I haven't used any media stories, right? So no one can say that it's a media narrative. I invite, as ever, anyone who disagrees to respond using government data and official information and an explanation of why they think anything that I've said is wrong. And for everyone else, share this video as far and wide as you can with your friends and people selling who are sticking to a high asking price and hoping that they're just by waiting they're going to get it, and they're waiting for the spring market bounce. Just yesterday, I saw an estate agent put a comment on a story in Property Industry Eye saying that the spring bounce has not happened, is not happening. He said there was a slight improvement in March and it's just gone again. That's an anecdote, I realise, but there we are. Will Ballard says, I thought UK inflation would have come down by now. So did lots of people, Will, but no. Interest rates going up, house prices need to be balanced. Yes, they are. Gavin Ward says, quick question. If a property is advertised at 445, but your max is about 100k under, should you still disregard the asking price and view it? Yes, absolutely. 100% yes. I mean, you may or may not be granted a viewing on it. But yes, go and view it. And when the agent says to you, well, do you have a budget of 445? Say, it depends whether or not the house is worth it. That's the answer. It depends what the house is worth. And if you go and see it and think, actually, they've priced it fairly and it is worth 445, then you walk away, you can't offer because it's out of your budget. But go and view it always. What have you got to lose? What have you got to lose? Absolutely go and view it. I don't know however value that property is or not, the 445 asking price. Absolutely. Just disregard the asking price and go and offer it. Now, you'll know when you go and view it and you meet the agent. You'll know whether they're a guffer or whether actually they've got lots of interest and it's going to sell really quickly. But always go. RJ says, Charlie, we think you are right. Done our own research, I hope, and the facts speak volumes. Thank you very much. Ditch Head asks me, do you see interest rates rising officially? Yes, I do. I see them rising to probably 5.5%. Wouldn't be surprised if they get to 6% because inflation is proving very sticky, and the risk is we get stagflation, right? Stagnant economy with high inflation. Kevin H says, I work in planning and building standards, so I get it at the coalface. What was that information you're referring to, Kevin? Wow. New build sales in your area of southwest Scotland are down 78%. Woo! That is staggering information from someone at the coalface of that building. Now, Daniel Hamilton Charlton. Yes. Hi, Dan. People should stop waiting for a property crash before you buy. It's an utterly crazy mentality. Having homes should not be based on speculation. 100% agree with you. 100% agree with you, which is why I keep on saying, if you are in a position to buy now, as long as you can find a property that's not overpriced and that you can get the price that's within your budget and you're not afraid of overpaying and you're not exposed yourself to I agree. Buy now. The only exception to that was on last night. I had a private buyers club live stream last night, and someone said that the renting was 30% cheaper than the mortgage repayment to buy the same property. And therefore, in that situation, I advise them that they actually should rent in the area, get to know it really well, whilst house prices come down. It actually made sense for that to happen. But otherwise, Daniel, I agree with you. If you're looking to buy a home, but I mean, why am I being so forceful about what I think is going to happen to house prices? Because it was reported in the Telegraph yesterday, there are lots of would-be renters who are buying instead because renting is too expensive. And I worry about the number of people who've gone in with those rose-tinted spectacles that you have, a lot of first-time buyers do, and have negotiated maybe 5% of the price with a 90% mortgage and have bought and are going to come a cropper. I just worry how many first-time buyers are buying at the tippy top. So as long as you negotiate what you think is a really fair price for today, you should still buy now. I've always said that, and I continue to say that. Do we have any other questions? Danny Ford says, my home's value has gone up according to an online estimate since I bought it 7 months ago. Automated guff. Quite right, Danny. Quite right. Steve-O says, the Spectator have made a video about the first signs of a crash in the birth rate. Yeah, that is going to absolutely help bring house prices down, by the way. Craig, if you've just tuned in and you're watching this live, you can still rewind it and watch it from the start live. Now, just to play devil's advocate, Cerberus the Defender, lots of properties saying offers over, living in a dream. Not necessarily. The really, really intelligent, professional, and competent agents who have got clients that trust them will be pricing property where they know they're going to sell it. And what they'll do is they'll price it at a price that they know in this market is still a very keen price, and they will get people bidding over. I've got buyers who have been buying recently, and they've had to go over asking price, both at a high-end 7-figure rate and also at a low, much, much lower price as well. So this is why the asking price needs to be disregarded on average, and you've got to look at the individual asking price of a property. Some of them will still go for offers over because the intelligent agents have priced them below the market. Right, guys, I've got to wrap it up. Otherwise, I'm going to miss my flight. I hope that's helpful. I hope that's useful. Remember, guys, that when you are going to go out and bid, and you want to get you want to buy now, which I still think you should do, because again, house prices are not crashing; they are sliding, and they're going to continue sliding for some time. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't buy, because, as someone said last night, I'm paying £19,000 a year in rent. I'd rather be paying off a mortgage with that money. That's why it makes sense to buy now if you're at a point in your life where you want to buy somewhere and stay there for the considerable future. But personally, if it was me, I'd be wanting to stay for somewhere for at least 10 years to be sure I wasn't going to get stuck in negative equity if I was a high loan to value mortgage borrower. But if you need a mortgage, you've got a better chance of having your low offer accepted if you've got a mortgage in principle. If you don't already have one lined up, please talk to my guys, mhwc.co.uk/mortgage. It's on the screen down there. Pop your details in there and go to one of my 2 hand-picked independent whole of market mortgage brokers. They can't handle overseas clients, by the way, guys. If you're an overseas resident at the moment, they can't handle you. I haven't got anyone for that. But for everyone, all the first-time buyers in the UK, please, these guys are really hot. On that happy note, have a great rest of your Wednesday. I hope I'm not going to miss my plane. And thanks, Daniel. Unfortunately, this is not a rest trip. I will be working on the road non-stop. I will get some rest at the weekend, hopefully. But I'm going to be back next week, and I'm probably going to be horribly jet lagged. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Have a fantastic time. Great rest of the week. I hope that's a good 5-fact Wednesday. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.